with everything that's going on in this country, all of the fucking hate campaigns towards women, is it any question why so many women want less and less to do with men? Do you really think it's the most inspiring thing to yell at women for not giving a shit about the male loneliness epidemic right now? Really? We think that's inspiring? Okay. Well.
Dude, where are you? Pick up your phone. I'm going to a summer party tonight, and you're obviously invited, so call me back. Okay, love you. Bye.
What's up, you guys, and welcome back to Emotionally Online, the weekly summer party for spilling guts and sharing secrets, hosted by yours truly, the one and only Maddie Drossback, who was not here last week for reasons I'm sure you already know. I did record an episode last week. I recorded it Tuesday during the day, right after I'd got home from casting my vote for Kamala Harris. Recorded the episode. I was feeling real optimistic, and obviously the results of the election were not what we hoped they would be. So come Wednesday morning, I was like, this feels inappropriate to put out this episode given everything, and I didn't want to put out an episode before I talked about the election and everything that it was bringing up for me. So I just didn't post at all last week, understandably. Before I get into this episode, all the thoughts and feelings and rage that I'm going to express in this episode, I just want to say that if you need to consume something a little bit more positive, a little bit more lighthearted today, I totally understand. And you don't need to listen to this episode. And please go take care of yourself. Do what you need to do. I myself have been, doing my fair share of consuming a lot of political content and then taking a serious step back and consuming quite literally anything else. But if you're feeling mad, if you're feeling angry and you want someone to feel angry with, I think I'm going to be your girl today because I'm feeling pretty fucking angry. Why don't we just start at the top here? Let's put ourselves back firmly in election night. Not a night that I would like to relive. I was sat here on this couch by myself, which initially I was kind of sad about. I was like, damn, I would have loved to have a friend over here to, I don't know, experience this night with. But that was also when I thought that it was going to go well. In my head, it was going to be a more positive night where we could sit and talk about the state of things and how the night is going and, what comes next. Engage in discussion. Like I in my head, I was like, oh, it would be nice to have some friends over here to hang out and do that with. But I was by myself, and I'll be honest, by the time we hit like 9:30, I was like, thank God I'm by myself. Oh my God. The vibes were bad the whole fucking night. There was not, honestly, from the second I turned my TV on and started watching the broadcast, all the votes coming in, I was like, oh my God, like vibes are bad already. The only time they were good is when I was like at the fucking polls, when I was casting my vote, and then I was home working, not online. And then the second I started paying attention to what was going on, I was like, holy shit. No, we're not going to have good vibes for even a second. It's just going to be bad the whole way through. And it really was. It was bad the whole way through. I took myself to bed when the New York Times started reporting that it was a 88% chance that Donald Trump was going to win. And I had watched it go from like 55% to 88% throughout the night. And once it got to 88, I was like, you know what? I can't watch this anymore. So I went to bed probably at like 11. And then I awoke in a hot sweat at 3 a.m., picked up my phone, saw the push notification that Donald Trump had won Pennsylvania. And yeah, I knew what that meant. And had some texts in my phone from my brother and my friends. And I just sort of read them. I laid in bed and I cried. And then I tried to go back to sleep, woke back up, back to sleep, woke back up. Just a terrible, horrible fucking night. And then I woke up on Wednesday and felt nothing but rage. Nothing but fucking rage at everyone, and I just have no fucking time for you idiot losers that voted for him. And I'm never going to say differently. And I don't know why some of you are still shocked that I say that. Like, I honest to God have no fucking clue how some of you are still here. I hate conservatives. I hate Trump supporters. If you and I met in real life, we wouldn't fucking get along. Like, I don't know how much clearer I can be that I don't respect you or your worldview at all. I don't know how much clearer I can be. And on Wednesday morning, I went on my Instagram stories and said something about how I was feeling and was like, and if you voted for Trump, you are a bigoted, selfish freak and you should unfollow me because we have nothing in common and fuck you. Something along those lines. Very appropriate, very reasonable reaction on my behalf, honestly. I could have said more. I could have said way more, and I'm about to. Like, I could have gone so much fucking harder, but there were still people in my DMs that were like, I've watched your videos for years. I've, felt so much joy from your content. I can't believe you would say this. Like, who's the hateful one now? And I had to read those messages and laugh because I'm like, for starters, how the fuck did you get here? How the fuck did you end up here in this corner of the internet? For one. For two, what about everything that I've ever said on the internet would lead you to believe that I would fuck with you as a Trump supporter? Let me make myself so clear right now. I hate conservatives. I don't respect your worldview. I think you are hateful, bigoted freaks. I think you're selfish as hell. And if we met in real life, I would fucking hate you. There is no universe where we would be friends. I think you're a fucking loser. Hope that clears things up. Like, I don't, if you think you've ever enjoyed my content, you're like, if you're sitting at home like, oh, I loved your content so much, and now I figured out you care about human rights, and that really pisses me off. Like, unfollow me. Unfollow me. Stop consuming my content. I don't make videos for you. You can suck a dick and die. I dead ass. I don't fucking care. I don't want you here. You can leave. I won't miss ya. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. Like, it's crazy to me that there was anybody that followed me that was like, yeah, the purple-haired fatty, she's gonna be cool with my whack fucking worldview. Hello? Not happening. Also, it is so funny to me when Trump supporters will literally vote hate into the highest level of power. This is the same group of people that wants to roll back access to gender-affirming care, that wants to make it impossible for women to have control over their own bodies, that just at every turn wants to make life harder for so many different groups of people. It's these same people that when anybody with a brain, because it doesn't take much to have a reaction to this shit. It shouldn't take much to have a reaction to people trying to infringe upon human rights. That's fucking normal. When normal people with a brain have a reaction to hate, Trump supporters go out and do their nonsense. They vote for Trump, vote hate into the White House. And then people with a brain have a normal reaction to that. And they say, you're a fucking loser freak. I don't want you anywhere near me. Unfollow me. And then they all of a sudden are like, oh, why'd you say that? You're being so mean to me right now. Maybe you're the hateful one. All of a sudden you want to be a baby back bitch and cry about it after you just voted a rapist into the highest form of office. Like, let's get serious, you guys. Because what you can't do is be the most hateful, bigoted person alive, vote for literally hate in human form, and then be mad that other people think you're a fucking freak. Like, sorry, if you wanted to be buddy-buddy, if you wanted to be cool with me, maybe you shouldn't have behaved like that. These are the consequences of your actions. You can't vote for someone like Donald Trump and then be mad that people don't fuck with you. Like, what's not clicking? And same goes with people who are getting online now and being like, how could you cut someone off over this? Like, people are really cutting off entire family members over the election. Like, yeah, We are. What about it? Like, these are the consequences of your actions. Why would I, as a woman, want to have a relationship with someone who believes that the government has more of a say over what happens to my body than I do? Why would I want that? As an older sister to a trans brother, why the fuck would I be cool having a relationship with someone that doesn't want to protect him the way that I want to protect him? Some of you don't love hard enough for me. Some of you don't give a shit about other people in the way that you fucking should. And it is weird. It is weird. There is something fundamentally wrong with you that you're not able to care for other people like that. Some of you are deeply selfish, and it is very weird. I need you to know right now, it is very, very weird. You should dig into that. It is not normal to be so selfish. It really fucking isn't. There is no world where I wouldn't cut someone off over this, because I'm a person of integrity. Because when I say I care about something, when I say that something is a value of mine, I fucking mean it. So yeah, I am gonna cut off my fuck ass uncle who voted for Trump because I think he's a fucking loser. And I want my brother to hear me and see my beliefs on my fucking chest at all times. I want my brother to know that I ride for him 100%. And there is no one in the world where I would ever look the other way and be like, oh yeah, my fucking loser uncle voted for Trump, but I'm just going to look this way. I'm just going to not acknowledge that. I'm not that type of bitch. You people might be, because you don't have a fucking backbone, but sorry, I'm not like you. I want my brother, I want my friends, I want all the people at home that are watching this podcast right now to know that I'm on your team, that I ride for you, I defend you, that there would be no universe where I would ever defend hate, that I would ever associate myself with someone who defends hate, with someone who would vote for someone as evil and vile as that. There's no universe for it. I'm fucking mad. So yeah, I hate you if you voted for Donald Trump. I fucking do. I think you're a ridiculous and unserious person. I think you should unfollow me. I think you should stop listening to this podcast. I think you should go fucking anywhere else on the internet. I understand there's going to be people that are like, no, but we shouldn't be pushing them out of our spaces. We should be reaching a hand across the aisle, welcoming them in so we can really change their perspectives. And I'm telling you right now, you can go ahead and do that. I'm not trying to fucking do that. I care about curating a safe space in my corner of the internet for the groups of people that I care about and give a shit about being here. I'm not about to create a space online that's all about reaching across the aisle to mingle with Trump supporters and try to get them to understand. Fuck you. This space isn't for you. I care about making this a safe space for women, queer people, trans folks, people of color, any marginalized group that has been directly impacted, that will be directly impacted by Trump's second term. I care about making this a safe space for them. I don't give a shit about Trump supporters. I don't. You're not welcome here. I don't make content for you. I fucking hate you. And I just want to make that clear. So I hope we're all on the same page now. I feel a lot of anger. As a woman, as a sister to a trans brother, a friend to trans people, I feel anger at what this means for the Supreme Court, what this means for climate change, and how progress is going to be stifled in the long term because of this. This is just like another fucking hurdle for us to get over as a country. And it is going to be significantly harder than the hurdle we would have had to get over with Kamala, which is what I talked about when I did an episode entirely about my experience at the DNC in August or September, whenever that was. A 7-2 Supreme Court is fucking crazy. Donald Trump appointing the majority of justices on the Supreme Court is diabolical. I mean, it's fucking insane. It's crazy. I mean, progressives across the board are going to be stifled for the next 40 years. 40 years. That's crazy. I'm 27. I do feel anger and I do feel hopelessness and I feel all of these things. And also, I feel hope and I feel directed and I feel motivated towards taking actual steps within my own community and, ways that we can make life under Trump incrementally better for ourselves and the people around us. I have thoughts on that as well. I'll save that towards the end. But yeah, I also feel a lot of anger and hopelessness and just like despair looking at everything, being like, how the fuck are there so many of you with worms for brains that voted for that man? Even looking at New York State and seeing how New York fucking state was like 55-45, 55 Kamala, 45 Donald Trump. It was closer than I would have liked it to be. Obviously, New York City is, more Kamala than New York State. If you look at a map of New York State, a lot of upstate New York is red, and obviously the cities go blue, and then Long Island is all red. But 55-45, that's fucking crazy. That's fucking crazy. But I guess it makes sense. Like, I always used to feel this way growing up in Massachusetts, where Massachusetts is a blue state. It's a state that goes blue year after year, no matter what. Massachusetts is a state that is usually the first or one of the first to roll in protections. I believe Massachusetts was the first state to legalize gay marriage. Like, Massachusetts is generally a more progressive state where, from a legal perspective, there are more protections for vulnerable groups there than there are other places in the country, for sure. But growing up in Massachusetts, I didn't feel like I was living in like a progressive utopia in the way that other people talked about Massachusetts being. I hated my hometown, and my hometown went blue every single year. But I hated my hometown because it was full of people that were hateful and unkind and too conservative from where I sat. Now, given I am farther left than the Democrats, for sure. But I just remember getting in so many fights, arguments with people online and, Twitter, Facebook when I was in high school. And there was one story, I don't think I've ever told this story. It's hard for me to remember because I definitely did talk about this when I filmed my video about my queerness 2 months ago on my YouTube channel. I talked about it, and I think I cut it out of that video because I was like, I think this is a better story to tell on the podcast. But when I was a senior in high school, we had a change in the color of graduation gowns to make things more inclusive to people who were gender nonconforming or who were trans but were not in safe spaces to be able to come out and live as their truest selves. When I was growing up, they used to have it so the boys graduated in green gowns and the girls graduated in white gowns. It was just like an unnecessary separation. Why do that? When this change was made, my principal called me down to his office like the week before to tell me about it. And he asked if they could use a quote from me in the letter they were sending home to parents to explain why this change was important. The reason why they asked me to come and make that statement is because everybody knew that I had a trans sibling. My brother is much younger than me, so he was not in the high school at all when this was happening. He was probably still in fucking elementary school at the time. But everyone in the town knew that my brother was trans because my family was incredibly vocal. My mom was traveling with the Safe Schools program in Massachusetts to give speeches on how teachers and staff can make their classrooms more inclusive and accepting spaces for trans kids growing up in the school system. And I was very vocal. I've always been very passionate. And anyways, so I would fight with people online about that all the time. I also was just loud. My family was loud. Principal called me down to the office and asked if I would make a statement talking about why it was important and who it would benefit. So I did. I also feel like maybe the staff at the high school should have known that that was going to put a target on my family's back. Maybe they should have known that. I don't know. Hindsight is 20/20, I guess. But they sent home a little note in everybody's backpack and emailed it out that Friday talking about the change. And this was like 2 months before I graduated, probably. And all weekend, it was just a fucking horror show on Twitter. Every transphobic thing that you can think of, people tweeted it at me that weekend. Blaming all of this like, you know, bastardization of tradition on one family who's just full of freaks and fucking everything up and whatever. The nastiest things that you can think of being said about me and my family and my brother. And it wasn't like a fight where there was a bunch of people saying nasty shit and then a bunch of people fighting back against it. It was like a bunch of people saying nasty shit and then like me and like 3 other people being like, you guys are fucking freaks. We were really outnumbered. We were really fucking outnumbered. And so I was screenshotting everything, just saving it because I knew I was going to take it to the administration that Monday morning once I got back into school. But then on Sunday, some people called up Fox News, and Fox News did an entire segment on my high school and about the change in graduation gown colors, about how it's all because of one family with one trans kid ruining tradition for everybody. Meanwhile, my brother is literally 9 years old when this is happening. Like, I am 18, graduating high school in 2 months, just was asked out of nowhere, had nothing to do with this change whatsoever, was just asked for a statement. And then people just take it and they're so fucking transphobic that they run all the way to Fox News with it. And Fox News does an entire fucking segment on this shit. And my family and I were sitting at home watching all this play out and we're like, what the ever-loving fuck? My dad was like ready to start calling colleges to start getting people's admissions rescinded. I was having panic attacks. I was like, oh my fucking God, how am I going to go to school and sit next to these people and not start fights with them 24/7? How am I going to sit next to them at graduation? I have to go through all these motions. I fucking hated high school. I hated these people. They were so full of hate. They were so fucking nasty people, just the worst. And so anyways, I went into school that Monday and I showed administration all the screenshots, and they basically told everyone that if they even spoke to me between then and graduation, that they weren't going to walk. But it was like, I have so many stories like that. That is one of many. It was constant in my high school. People were just fucking loser, bigoted fucks. And our town went blue every single year. Massachusetts is such a utopia. Like, I went to school with so many people who were nasty. And if they themselves weren't nasty, they did not stand up against it. They watched other people be transphobic, be homophobic, be racist, be fucking nasty to other people. And they watched and did nothing. And to me, that is the same. To me, whether you are the hateful person or you sit back and watch it happen and do nothing, you are the same to me. You are. And this is a topic that's come up a lot in my family over the last week because, like many other people in this country, I know someone that voted for Donald Trump. And it's crazy because these are the people that will look at my younger brother and be like, oh, we love you so much. We support you. Pro-trans. We love it. And then they go ahead and vote for Donald Trump, and then they're posting crazy shit on Facebook. The most transphobic shit you've ever seen on Facebook. And then if you talk to them, they're like, oh, but we love you though. You're the exception to the rule. And it's like, shh, no, there is no, that's not how it works. You can't support my brother. You can't be a safe person for him while posting a bunch of transphobic shit online. And these are the people you see in blue states, the conservatives in blue states, where they're like, oh, well, it's not going to impact you. So it doesn't matter. Like, I'm not voting against your interest. I'm just voting against all these other people. And it's like, they see nothing wrong with that. And that is what they will use to justify. And they'll look at my brother and be like, well, it's not going to impact you. I still support you. It's just everyone else that I don't. It's just all these other freaks. You're normal, but these other ones, I just don't know. And it's like they just, massage and morph their transphobia into other positions to make it make sense, to justify what they're doing to the people in their lives that are not the same as them, to the people in their lives that are directly impacted by the policies and people that they're voting into the highest power. Like, it is fucking crazy. The whole thing is fucking crazy. Just know that family member got cut the fuck off. All right. Revoked access, and nobody's going to be around my brother that's going to make him feel unsafe or unloved or anything of the sort. You can go fuck yourself. Yeah, I have no interest in having a relationship with people like that. I don't care what your justification is. I think you know better. I think you have enough information to know better and to do better, and you actively choose not to because you are selfish and you are hateful, and you can do jumping jacks and cartwheels around your head to try to justify your hate and make sense of it. But it doesn't make sense. So that's that. We revoke access, we cut off those relationships, and we move on, because I have no interest in maintaining relationships with people like that. Because like I said, I care about the people I surround myself with. I care about when my brother looks at me. I want him to know that he will always be safe with me, that I would fight to the ends of the earth to protect him, that there's nothing I wouldn't do for him. I want him to know that about me with 100% certainty. It makes me so fucking angry. So angry and so sad to know all the things that my brother has had to hear from people that were supposed to love and protect him. That makes me so fucking mad. So it's important for me to be firm and strong and unwilling to move in my rejection of people like that. Both for myself, my own integrity, my own morals, and also for the people I love, so that they know that they are safe with me no matter what. No matter what. I will defend you. I will fight for you. I will do everything I can to use my privilege as a buffer to protect you from these horrible fucking people. It makes me so mad. And then you go online and you see even more nonsense. So much sexism, misogyny, hate of women. And it's normalized and brushed off. And it just, sometimes the internet feels like fucking high school to me. You know, when you're in high school and you're surrounded by all these young boys that are just like so violently misogynistic. And then you, as a young girl, are just told to take it and ignore them. And sometimes you're even told that it means they like you. All these things. Oh, they're just teasing. That's what boys do. And then you hear these things your whole life, and you're told not to have a reaction to them. You're told to just suck it in, to ignore it. That's just what they do. And then it persists like that your whole life. And then all of a sudden you're a fucking adult and you log on to the internet and see a bunch of men chanting things like, your body, my choice. And then they still tell you not to have a fucking reaction to it. It makes me so mad. I remember when I was in high school, for our gym class, senior year, you could pick what type of gym class you were in. And one of the options for gym was that the girls could take a RAD class, self-defense class. And we had to share the gym with the other classes when we did it. I took it my senior year. And they just like put a divider in the gym, and they had the RAD class on one side and then the rest of the classes on the other, and only girls were allowed to take the RAD class. But obviously this is not a fucking like soundproof barrier. So the other gym classes could hear what was happening in the rad class. And if you've ever taken a self-defense course like that, they have you like scream no and stop with every like move that you do. So the other classes that were in the gym would just hear the girls in the self-defense course saying no and stop over and over again during the class. And the boys always made fun of that. And it always obviously did not sit right with me, because I was like, this is like a really real thing, a real fear, and also like a something that does and will happen to many of the girls that are in this class right now. And everyone is just, it's all jokes to everybody that all the girls in this high school are taking a self-defense course and are screaming no and stop, that are being taught to scream no and stop when we're fighting back against men on the other side of the gym. And I just remember one day, I will never forget this. We had to run laps before class as like a warm-up. And so obviously we had to run around the divider and run past the other gym class. And I'm a slow runner, obviously. Do I look like a fucking runner? And so I was pulling up the back with some of my friends who were in the class. And there was a boy in my grade who looked at those of us that were pulling up the back of the group. He looked at us and he said, "You better run faster or you're gonna get raped." And I never forgot that. But this is how young boys talked to us back then. This was what, 2014, 2015 when I was a senior? Growing up, this is how young boys acted. And it was always okay. We were told that we shouldn't have an emotional reaction to it. It was like I was constantly being tested. Boys would say the most sexist, misogynistic shit. And then we were told not to have a reaction to it. Because if we did have a reaction to it, they would just sit there and snicker. They wouldn't take it seriously. And over time, I think that the internet has sort of compounded this issue that I experienced in high school and made it so much fucking worse. The fact that when Trump started winning on election night, the first people that they started to thank were the fucking Nelk boys and Aiden Ross. That's crazy. That's fucking crazy. And I just feel like there's this like rage within me that's been building my whole life. This deep fucking anger. All the things, all the emotions that I've been told to bottle up, to not react to. Boys will be boys, this, that, and whatever. All of those feelings are reaching an absolute and utter breaking point for me. I just feel like I'm exploding with all of this. So that brings us to the topic of the male loneliness epidemic, right? Which is something that I don't care about at all, right? Because I don't care that misogynists are lonely. I don't care that incels and people that don't respect women are mad that women won't fuck them anymore. I don't fucking care. And I think it's weird that any of you want me to care. A bunch of my friends have been sending me tweets that they've seen about the male loneliness epidemic this week, because I think this is a topic that's on a lot of people's minds post Donald Trump getting elected. But somebody said, "I can't get a girlfriend because you took away some of the malign social pressures that force women to need men," is not a political opinion so much as it is a patriarchal tantrum, and I don't understand supposedly left-wing people who are giving any credence to it politically. And I couldn't fucking agree more. Someone else said, "It's always the people who refuse any other kinds of sensitivity in language who want to say male loneliness epidemic instead of being a fucking loser. You don't get to say, fuck your feelings, and the president must make you invite me to your birthday party." I don't give a single shit that the worst men on earth are fucking lonely. I don't care. Like I said, it is a completely self-inflicted issue. I don't give a fuck. And again, this was another moment where I read the message and I was like, in what universe do you think that I'm the type of bitch to give a shit about that? I don't understand why some people want to ride so hard to defend misogynists. It's really weird to me where, like, again, misogynists do nothing but be fucking hateful losers towards women. And then a bunch of them are pissed that no women like them and they feel so lonely and no woman wants to fuck me and this fucking sucks and I'm feeling so lonely and I'm so sad and whatever the fuck else. And then you have a bunch of women that are like, I don't give a shit that you're fucking lonely. Actually, I think you probably should be lonely. I think you should stay far away from women because you are a freak. And of course, no one wants to hang out with you. Like, I don't feel bad that you're lonely because you are really fucking mean to women. What the fuck? And then you have people that are like, how dare you be so hateful? Men are suffering. And it's like, well, why didn't you give a fuck when men were being misogynistic freaks to women? Why is it that this is the hill you want to die on? You want to die defending misogynists and incels who are lonely because they can't get women to fuck them, and now they're like turning into terrors to everyone else in life because they're like, no one want to fuck me. Women have too many rights. She don't need me anymore. You know what? Let me just throw in a clip of what I said last week. I don't really give a fuck if misogynists have a bad day. You know? I don't really care if misogynists are lonely because they're bad people. And I, as a woman, do not need to carry the emotional burden of trying to offer them understanding because they are misogynists. And if you're not a misogynist and the shoe doesn't fit, then don't wear it, baby. Okay? It's as simple as that. Listen, I'm understanding as hell. I think I'm a pretty reasonable gal. That does not mean that I'm going to offer understanding and peace and love and kindness to the worst people on planet fucking Earth. Like, dude, you're at a sleepover right now. Come on. What do you think happens at sleepovers? Do you think we all sit around and go, what are we going to do about the male loneliness epidemic? Oh, the worst men in the world are so lonely and sad. No one wants to hang out with them because they're misogynists. What are we going to do about it? Like, I don't care. I don't care. It's just crazy to me how people, again, it's the same issue of like Trump supporters when they start bitching and moaning and being like, oh, you guys are so mean to me. It's like when misogynists do nothing but be hateful fucking terrors to women. And then as a result, the consequence of that action is that women don't want anything to do with them. They don't want to fuck them. They don't want to be friends with them. They don't want to be in relationships with them. They don't want to be in a fucking acquaintanceship with them. They want nothing to do with them. And then men sit at home and they claim that we're in a male loneliness epidemic and no women want to fuck them and it's so fucking terrible. And they just feel so lonely and it's women's fault that they're lonely and it's women's fault that they're so sad and so upset. And we've got to do something about it. And hey, you, this woman over here that's saying she doesn't care, fuck you for not giving a shit about men's mental health. Really? That's the hill you're going to die on? That's the hill you want me to die on? No. Couldn't be me. And I don't know if it's just because some of these people are not exposed to enough corners of the internet that they don't realize what type of men are being talked about when we talk about the male loneliness epidemic. I don't know if these are just people that are not as plugged in to this nonsense. And so they're sitting at home being like, my friend Jeff, who's really nice and he's lonely, like, they must be talking about him. And it's like, that's not what the male loneliness epidemic is in reference to. But sometimes I'm like, is that why? Are there people that are sitting at home like, oh, I love my friend Jeff, and Jeff's really lonely, and this woman just said that she didn't give a shit about the fact that he was so sad and lonely, and my friend Jeff is so awesome. Like, I'm not talking about your fucking friend Jeff. I'm talking about misogynists and incels and people that feel like women owe them shit. That is who we're talking about when we talk about this shit, and we're saying, fuck you, I don't care that you're lonely. Also, go have dinner with your friends, which none of you will do because it's so gay. And you're like, I can't possibly have an intimate relationship with my male friendship. Getting dinner with my guy friend? Oh, God, that's so weird. And then they go online and they're like, the male loneliness epidemic. And it's like, there shouldn't be a question of why you feel lonely. You are mean to women and you refuse to indulge in intimacy with other men because you say it's gay. What? Why am I supposed to care about this? I don't care. And why are some of you dead set on trying to make me care about this? Like, it's weird. Again, the person that called it a patriarchal tantrum is absolutely correct. You're mad that women don't care that you're lonely. You want women to swoop in and feel so sorry for you and patch it all up and fix it. And instead, we're sitting here saying, I don't give a shit that you're lonely. These are the same people that are in Drew Follow's comment section when she does a takedown of the worst man you've ever met. And they're like, not all menning in the comment section. Not all men. Shut up. You look so goofy. Like, if the shoe fits, wear it, babe. But like, it's so clear that Drew does these takedown videos calling out the worst men on planet Earth. She is fighting with misogynists. And then some of you get in her comment section and are like, not all men. Why are you so upset by what she said? If it doesn't apply to you, don't freak the fuck out. Like, and so I was talking about this last week, and then Donald Trump gets elected. And this conversation takes on a whole new light because it's like, how dare you get mad at women who don't want anything to do with these fucking men? How dare you get mad at women who are like, you know what? I actually don't want to be around men like this anymore. I don't want to be around or have deep relationships with all of these different kinds of men because look at the fucking world we live in. What about women's mental health? What if removing ourselves from those people is important to preserving our mental well-being? Why the fuck is it always about them? Holy shit. And you have more and more women being like, with the current state of the world, I am no longer having sex with men. I'm no longer pursuing romantic relationships with men. And that pisses so many people off. It makes them so mad that so many women are like, yeah, actually, fuck you guys. I'm not having sex with any of you until they codify Roe v. Wade. So enjoy the like sexless era that we've just entered. And people go fucking bananas, bonkers, so mad that women are like, don't care, don't need sex from a man. With everything that's going on in this country, all of the fucking hate campaigns towards women, is it any question why so many women want less and less to do with men? Do you really think it's the most inspiring thing to yell at women for not giving a shit about the male loneliness epidemic right now? Really? We think that's inspiring? Okay. Well, again, there should really be no question why increasingly more and more women do not want to pursue close relationships with these kinds of men. They are lonely for a reason, and no, I don't feel bad about it. And no, I'm not concerned about it. And no, I'm also not concerned about using flowery language to be considerate of their plight. Don't care. It's a misogynist, you guys. I don't give a fuck. Again, these are the same people that I'm sure are in Drew Follow's comment section. Like, you were so mean to him. Why were you so mean to that terrible guy? You probably really hurt his feelings. Like, okay. And he also believes that women shouldn't be able to vote. So what do you fucking mean? People will really get on the internet and be like, this guy that just was chanting, your body, my choice, you should really respect him. No. I'm not going to. I think he's a fucking loser freak. And I don't care that he's lonely. And I hope he stays lonely. And I hope he pisses and shits himself about it. Like, I don't care. I don't fucking care. Obviously, we're not talking about men who don't behave like that. Because the men that don't behave like that are listening to me right now going, so true, sister. Like, to die on the hill of defending misogynists is weird. Obviously, we have a major problem as it pertains to like the alt-right pipeline and how it sucks in young men. And I don't think this is a new problem. Again, boys were acting like this 10 years ago when I was in high school and before that as well. This is not a new issue. And also looking at like the way that young men vote, Gen Z men voted the same as men of other generations have always voted. People always say that like they position it like the young vote is going to save us when like young men always seem to move in the same direction. Gen Z men overwhelmingly voted for Trump. White people overwhelmingly voted for Donald Trump. Black women were really one of the only demographics that overwhelmingly showed up for Kamala, and they were completely and utterly failed by the rest of us. We have a problem. There is a real problem, and I think it is being really exacerbated online, this like indoctrination into alt-right spaces. This is where the hopelessness comes in for me. Because how can we fight back against like the fucking Andrew Tates of the internet when you have Donald Trump in the White House? Like, how can you make people see that this is wrong when they're willing to vote for that to the highest level of power? That's where the hopelessness comes in for me. Because I'm like, okay, we clearly have a problem. What do we do about it? Do these people even respect me enough to listen to what I have to say? Probably not. I saw someone else be like, men with podcasts, now's your chance. And I'm like, no, I kind of do agree with that. Men with podcasts that aren't the fucking worst, now is your fucking chance. Because guess what? They're not listening to women. They are not going to listen to anything that I just said. They do not respect my opinion. So you know what? Men with a microphone that aren't the worst, now's your fucking time, brother. Get in there, start doing the work. I love that Ethel Cain quote that's been passed around so much this week in response to people voting for Trump, which was, I hope that peace never finds you. Instead, I hope clarity strikes you someday like a clap of lightning, and you have to live the rest of your life with the knowledge and guilt of what you've done and who you are as a person. And I totally fucking agree. So, all the rage and anger aside, what do we do now? For starters, I want to say that just as I said before the election that I thought that it was useless to argue with other leftists, that is also what I believe now. I think often the left eats itself, and the left spends a lot of time fighting with other members of the left. I don't think that that's productive or meaningful right now. I don't think that directing your anger towards people who chose not to vote or voted third party is doing much. Again, if these are people that believe the same things that you do at your core, it's not really worth your time to fight with them, right? Because you're not on opposing teams. You might have made different choices in terms of showing up for this election, but you want a similar-ish future for the country. I made a choice within myself to not judge other leftists that approached this election differently than I did. Now, I would be lying if I said I didn't feel some pangs of frustration and anger towards people with platforms and large audiences that encouraged people to not vote or to vote third party. Those people piss me off. But the average everyday person who made an individual decision about what to do with their vote. I don't judge you for whatever path that you chose with this election. Obviously, you guys know what I thought was the best route, what I ended up doing. I voted for Kamala Harris. Obviously, that is what I thought the best choice was given the circumstances. However, I don't judge other leftists, other left-leaning people who have the same core beliefs as me that ultimately came to a different conclusion. Though I definitely do have some frustration towards people with large influences and platforms that made it their mission to discourage people or shame people from using their vote. That sucked. That I hated. Is there anything we can do about that now? No. So, I don't think that fighting with other left-leaning people is productive at this stage of things. I think right now, what is most important is leaning into community care. Clearly, the next 4 years are going to be a mess. And the government is not going to be looking out for many communities in this country. There are many people in this country that are going to be in increasingly vulnerable positions with Donald Trump in office. I think now more than ever, it is important to pour into your communities and to look out for each other. And I don't just mean your immediate community as in your immediate friend group, your family members. Obviously, they are included in your community. But I also mean people in your neighborhood, people in your city, people that you don't know that you might cross paths with, other people in your apartment building, other people in your orbit, in your community that you can extend a hand to and help in this time and the times that will soon follow. Start thinking about how you can contribute to your community. Sit on it, brainstorm on it, and find a few achievable ways that you can prioritize bringing in more of that collective community care into your life moving forward. A good step one would be to find mutual aid groups in your area. There's a lot of organizing that is already happening, that's already been done. There might be very clear ways that you can contribute, that you can help out with efforts that are already being organized in your area. Just look up your city and mutual aid group, or look up your neighborhood and mutual aid group. Like in New York City, there's a bunch of different mutual aid groups, but a lot of them are defined by neighborhood. Look it up, sign yourself up, find ways to get involved, to contribute, to give back, to just be more of a resource to the people in your community. There is so much power in taking care of each other. Yes, there are a lot of nasty people in this country, but there are also a lot of people in this country that are on the same page as you and I, that want to see a more progressive US, that really give a shit about people and about taking care of each other. So yes, there's a lot of really scary things that are happening right now, and it is easy to feel hopeless. There are many moments where I feel hopeless. But there is so much power in community, and there are so many people that are eager to take care of others and to help. So please lean on your community and let people lean on you, because the best path forward that we have is by going smaller and focusing on our communities and how we can make things better. We have each other. It's important to remember that, to lean on each other, to show up for each other now more than ever. Donate to abortion funds, volunteer at a food bank, help a neighbor run an errand, join a park cleanup day, start fostering animals in your city. However it is that you can contribute to the greater good of your community, I think you should do it. I think you should take this, all this anger, all this rage, all this hopelessness, and channel it into being a resource for people in your community, making your community just a little bit better. Do something like that instead of taking your anger out on other left-leaning people that ultimately have the same hope for our future that you do. the pointing of fingers helps no one. This happened because of you. This happened because of you. This happened. It's so wildly unproductive. I get it. There's a lot of anger. I feel it too. But this is ultimately where we are right now. And we have to think about what we can do tangibly to make a difference, knowing that these are the conditions that we're working in right now. This is where we are. How do we move from here? And I hope that it's been made clear throughout this episode, but just to really, really nail it down here, I want to affirm to those of you listening that this space, my corner of the internet, will always, 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 always be a safe space for queer folks, for trans folks, for women, for people of color, for indigenous people, for black people. I care about keeping this corner of the internet a supportive, inclusive, and loving space. All right? It's not called Love Girls Worldwide for nothing. I need you to know that I am vocally, staunchly, and unmovably against Donald Trump and his supporters. All the nonsense that follows with it. I give a shit about making sure that you guys feel safe here. I do not give a fuck about catering to people who voted for Donald Trump. They can go fuck themselves. They're not welcome here. And if somehow you've made it to the end of the podcast and that is you, you should unfollow me. You should unfollow me and get lost, because you're not wanted here. And I have no problem saying that. To those of you that are feeling sad and hopeless and angry, I get it. I'm right there with you. And I think it's good to let out that anger, to scream and rage and vent to your friends and commiserate with each other. I think that's important. And also, we have to take steps forward to bringing more community care into our lives. And I mean that deeply and seriously. I think that it's easy to put this shit on your to-do list and then never get to it. But I think now more than ever, let the rage light a fire under your ass and get more involved in your community. And again, everybody contributes in different ways. Being involved in your community, being an active resource in your community looks different for different people. Finding out where you fit and how you can best contribute is, a process of trial and error, but I hope that you start trying. And I hope that you just start taking those steps to brainstorm how you can best give back and be a resource to the people in your community that will need you during this presidency. Okay? We will need each other. We will have to lean on each other. So let's start doing it right now. Let's prepare, because we're here and we've got to find a way to get to the other side of it. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for listening. Next week, we'll be back at it. Usual sleepover gab. We're actually doing really great episode on friendship breakups. So still a little bit sad, but I guess that's just what the sleepover calls for some days, some months. But we'll have fun with that, and we'll also, we'll goof, we'll gaff. If you've got any lighthearted topics you'd like me to hit on in the next episode, feel free to throw them in the submission box. And with that, I look forward to seeing you guys next week, getting back into it. Please take care of yourselves. Give your pets a smooch on the head for me. I love you guys so much. I'll see you next week's episode.